Welcome everyone to another video, and in this video we are going to take a look at Masterly spicy picks. I don't know if they're spicy picks per se. They're not really that many compared to Ultra League or even compared to Great League, just because Pokemon stats are so high in Master League and the disparity is so great. But let's just see what we can do. So what's an effective spicy pick? So these are the premier picks that PvPoke has determined. There's Dialga, Giratina Origin, Giratina Altered, Togekiss, Malmetal, especially with that superpower made it so much better. Swampert, Mewtwo with Psycho Cut, Psystrike, or Shadow Ball, Ice Beam, or Focus Blast. One of the two from each category. Dragonite with Dragon Breath, Dragon Claw. Then you can go Draco Meteor, Outrage, or Hurricane, depending on what situation you're in. Do you want a better Dragon Closer? Do you want coverage? Hurricane, almost like the Dragon Breath plus the Hurricane is almost enough to KO a Togekiss, so it's good late game play. And then Lick with Body Slam and Earthquake for Snorlax. Lick giving it coverage against Mewtwo, Dialga, not Earthquake for Dialga, Giratina, and both Giratinas. So, plus a pretty decent generalist. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of the options. The first option is Heracross. Heracross only picks up 4 of 9 wins, but this is Master League. What do you expect? It picks up wins against Malmetal, Dialga, Snorlax, and Swampert. Swampert because it resists the mud shots, counters add up. Earthquake is obviously resisted. Hydro Cannons are going to come through, but those counters are going to do a lot. Plus the close combat is basically going to be able to one-shot all these Pokemon in this category. It loses to both Giratinas. It loses to Togekiss really hard. There's basically no play against Togekiss, and same thing with Dragonite. But against Mewtwo, the Mega Horn will do 90% of Mewtwo's health. So if you can farm down one of these Pokemon somehow, then you're going to put yourself in a really positive situation to be able to Mega Horn a Mewtwo that might come in, and at least draw a shield. That's why I prefer it over a Pokemon like Hariyama, for example, or Conkeldurr. That's also an option as a spicy pick. The next one is one of my favorites, Glaceon Ultra League, and it's less effective in Masters, but still really good in Masters. Articuno with Ice Shard, Icy Wind, and Ancient Power. It's able to pick up wins against Togekiss, Dragonite because of the double super effective, Snorlax and Swampert like it did in Ultra League, but it doesn't beat the Giratinas in the one shield, but is able to at least hamper them. It doesn't beat Dialga because Dialga has a steel typing that makes the ice neutral, as well as Iron Head that's going to deal super effective damage. It doesn't beat Melmetal and doesn't beat Mewtwo, but it's at least able to make these Pokemon a little bit less effective. So in some situations you might want to stay in and then come in with a harder counter without so much fear of at least the amount of damage that these Pokemon are doing is greatly reduced. So it makes Articuno a really great lead. Either you're going to force a switch, which puts you in a very favorable situation, or at least be able to beat the Pokemon, or hamper it for the next Pokemon to be able to farm up. The next one is Mew. I know not everyone's going to have a Master League Mew. Some people will have it for Great League, for example, which is amazing, or Ultra League. But if you do have it for Master League, I recommend Shadow Claw, Psyshock, Focus Blast. You could argue the moveset. You could go for Ancient Power, for example, if you're looking to fish for the boost, which is always really nice with Shadow Claw. You could also go Dragon Claw, but the Focus Blast is very important. The Psyshock is important because it is stab and allows you to, cycle through some neutral matchups like against Swampert, for example. But ultimately, you want to land the Focus Blast onto Swampert because that actually is more energy efficient than the Psyshock, just because Focus Blast is an extremely energy efficient move, though it costs a lot of energy. So you're able to beat. You probably need the Psyshock for Togekiss, and then you're able to beat Mewtwo, Dialga, Swampert, and Melmetal, but highly volatile Pokemon. You need to land that Focus Blast, so it's going to be a 50-50 gamble. It loses to Giratina, to Dragonite, to Snorlax, and to Giratina. But you can also spice up the Musa if you want better coverage against those Pokemon. So like, I think it has access to like Ice Beam, for example, which would be able to beat Dragonite. And unfortunately, from Snorlax, those lick damage are going to do a lot, and it's going to double resist the Shadow Claw damage. Glaceon, another ice Pokemon. There's so many dragons in Master League. It's not a surprise that there's a lot of ice Pokemon that are also very effective against some of the top meta picks. Ice Shard, Icy Wind, and Avalanche. It's not as tanky as Articuno, but it does have the nuke of Avalanche when compared to Icy Wind. I think they're both 45 energy. Icy Wind does 60 damage, and then Avalanche does 90 damage. So it does 50% more damage than Icy Wind. So that's always a threat to the Pokemon. Like, it'll basically one-shot a Dragonite, able to beat Swampert, able to beat Giratina altered because it doesn't have that double weakness to Ancient Power, able to beat Togekiss, and able to beat Mewtwo with the current moveset, which is Psystrike, Ice Beam. If it had Focus Blast, it might turn the match a little bit differently. And then both Steel types are able to beat Glaceon, but again, you're going to be able to hamper them with Icy Winds. It loses to Snorlax just because it's able to outbulk it, and loses to Giratina Origin with Giratina Origin relying on the bait in order to win that matchup. But just because it's able to hit so hard with those with the Ominous Wind and Shadow Ball, Ominous Wind bait, and then Shadow Ball nuke, it allows it to win that particular matchup. The last one, again, these spicy picks are not necessarily cheap picks. Oftentimes, spicy picks are more expensive. In this case, this is a legendary Pokemon. It's very glassy. Darkrai is very attack weighted, but hits super hard. Unfortunately, like it has a really high attack stat, but paired with Snarl is both good and bad. It's bad in the sense that the Snarls are actually not going to do that much damage. If it had I don't know, another fast move like Shadow Claw, for example, at least would be able to do some damage along the way. And because it's so glassy, it's going to be able to burn some shields and do quite well in the close. With Snarl, Dark Pulse, and Focus Blast, gives it really great coverage against some of the top meta picks. It's able to beat Dialga just barely. I think it wins with like a couple HP left if it lands the Dark Pulse bait and then lands Focus Blast, or subsequently lands the Focus Blast, and then obviously the Snarls after that will KO. Able to beat Mewtwo, assuming that Mewtwo doesn't have Focus Blast. It's able to beat it might even beat it even if it had Focus Blast, just because it'll be able to outpace it. And then it's able to beat both Giratinas, again, because those Shadow Claws are resisted. Snarls are going to be super effective. Dark Pulse, very straightforward matchups from them. It's able to beat Snorlax, just because Lick is resisted. And then as well, it can rely mostly on the body slams. It loses to Melmetal because of the superpower. It loses to Dragonite because it doesn't have any super effective moves, and the Dragon Breaths are going to be too much. It loses to Togekiss because of the charm. And then as well, it's going to resist all of... basically, it probably could farm down Togekiss just with charms. And then it loses to Swampert just because Swampert's able to outpace it when they go move for move. Mudshot generates energy faster than Snarl. And then as well, Hydro Cannon is less energy than Dark Pulse. So it's just able to get to those charge moves faster and able to ultimately beat Darkrai. Darkrai's actually even squishier than Swampert. So those are my 5. I don't want, man, I have a hard time saying they're spicy picks, but they're a little bit spicy. Glaceon, I think, is spicy. Darkrai, I guess these are unexpected picks, I should say, but I'm gonna leave them as is. It's very challenging in Masters to come up with effective options, because at the top it's actually a pretty different coverage moves. A lot of dragons, but there's also Togekiss and Swampert, so it's pretty difficult to find a set of Pokemon that's going to be able to. I think at best there's only Pokemon can only beat 5 of the 9 top options. So you're going to see a lot of different mix of options, but if you want to try something a little bit different, then this is definitely So a few options that are going to go. Other ones that might be effective are like that are very much specialized are like Weavile, for example, against Giratina Origin, or like other fighters like Lucario, for example, might be interesting. But there's other picks. So, anyways, I'm gonna leave it there. If you guys like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see everyone in the next video.